Hello, it is time to meet the precious pangolin. Now, here's a big old picture of a pangolin. Chances are you've never even seen a pangolin, not one in real life. I'm not sure if I've ever seen a pangolin in real life. Well, I've got my friend Daisy here to help me. I'm Mary, and let's get started on meeting the precious pangolin. Now, this kind of preciousness might be in the eye of the beholder. Not necessarily precious to everybody, but very precious to me. What do you think? Is this a precious animal? Let's look at more information about the pangolin. Your very first question might be, what's a pangolin? What is it? Is it some kind of an aardvark, like an anteater? Is it an armadillo, which also rolls up into a ball? What is this thing? Well, it looks like it might be a reptile. Reptiles have scales, but it's not a reptile like I've ever seen. What do you think it is? Let's find out. Oh, here's another pangolin. Now, this one looks sort of different than the other pangolin. That's interesting. This one has sort of black scales, but I still don't know what a pangolin is. Well, I'm going to give you a hint. The scales are made of keratin. Guess what else is made of keratin? Your hair. What kind of animals have hair? Let's review the 5 groups of animals that have backbones, the vertebrates. Let's see, there's mammals. They have hair usually. Reptiles, they have scales. Amphibians, slimy skin, I don't think so. Birds, fish, So to me, it kind of narrows it down to it might be a reptile, but it might be a mammal. Well, the keratin is your dead giveaway. Keratin, that's hair. That's basically really hard hair. Turns out pangolins do have scales, and those scales are super hard and super sharp. They are made of keratin, like a rhinoceros's horn. Pangolins are the world's only scaled mammal. We think of scales on snakes and reptiles, of course, crocodiles and whatnot. Now, pangolins are in a special group. They're members of the order called Pholidota. I think that's a cute word, Pholidota. Well, order, that's a branch of classification. You've got a kingdom, a phylum, a class, an order, and then you move on down, family, genus, species. And as you get closer to the word species, your groups get smaller and smaller and smaller until you're down to the individual species. Well, pangolins are the only animals in Pholidota. They have their own order. That's kind of interesting. And what that tells you is they don't have a lot of close relatives. Now, there are 8 species of pangolins. Let's see what we can learn about that. Oh, back to you. I'm a pangolin. I'm a pangolin. I'm not an anteater or an armadillo. A lot of people think they're related to anteaters and armadillos, but like I said, they're not really related to very many animals at all. But if you were to go back up that family tree to find the animals that they're more closely related to, they're more closely related to a group called carnivora, which includes, this is odd, cats, dogs, and bears. So even though they look like anteaters or armadillos, they're more closely related to cats, bears, and dogs than they are to those other animals. Life is very strange. We know this by looking at their DNA. That's that information that's inside of every cell of a living thing. The DNA can be compared to other animals' DNA. All right, let's keep going. I want to know more about this pangolin. I'm going to stop for a minute and talk about just what mammals are, so you're clear on that. All of these animals are mammals, except for there's a bird in there with that seal. Whoops, I'm going to put myself right over that bird. There, we're mammals too. So humans are mammals, as well as the furry animals like deer, dogs, cats, but also some of your animals like elephants and rhinoceroses that have leathery skin. They also have very fine hairs, and their horns are made out of hair, the same material as hair. And then you have some aquatic mammals like your seals, whales, and dolphins. They seem like they're ocean animals, but they breathe air like we do. And one thing all mammals have in common is they feed their young with milk. So even if an animal appears to have no hair, feeding its young with milk is a giveaway that it is a mammal. And that applies to pangolins. Whoops, my pangolin's tail is caught up on my wires. All right, let's keep going. My pangolin's name, did I tell you her name is Daisy? Let's keep going, Daisy. So now that we know that they are scaled mammals, let's talk about where they live. I said you might not have ever even seen a real pangolin. Maybe you have. I don't know where you live. Here's a big, big wide world. Let's take a look at the specific places where pangolin lives. We're going to visit another website to do that. And this is a very interesting website. All right, pangolins of the world. Well, here you can see we have multiple pangolins. There are 8 species of pangolins. 4 live in Africa. Here's that. Whoa, I'm so big. Let's go back to small. All right, Africa's over here, big old continent of Africa. And the other 4 are from places in Asia. So let's look at these African species first. White-bellied pangolin, giant pangolin, black-bellied pangolin, and ground pangolin. And over here, our Chinese species, our Asian species, we have the Chinese pangolin, the Philippine pangolin, the Sunda pangolin, and the Indian pangolin. All of these Asian pangolins are named for the places where they live, whereas the African pangolins' names seem to depend more on what they look like. Now, each of these pangolin species has slightly different characteristics, and I'm not going to get into the different pangolin species with you, but if you're interested, I will put a link in the classroom where you can learn more by printing a pangolin guide, and you can learn the different species if you want to become a super expert. All right, now about these pangolins, you can see that at least one of these pictures was taken at night. Some of the pangolins are nocturnal. Nocturnal animals are awake at night, whereas diurnal animals are awake during the day. And if you need a really good word, there's crepuscular animals who are most active around the time between day and night, what we might call dusk. So some are diurnal and some are nocturnal. Likewise, they live differently. They have different lifestyles. Some are terrestrial and some are arboreal. Terrestrial pangolins live on the ground. They dig burrows, and some burrows of pangolins are so large that a human can stand up in them, which seems crazy because the largest pangolin is certainly nowhere near as large as a human. And an arboreal pangolin lives in a tree. You may have heard of Arbor Day. Arbor always means tree. Anytime you hear arbor, it's about trees. Terra, T-E-R-R-E or A, always refers to as earth. All right, it's good if you're going to be a scientist to learn your prefixes because then you can just learn a lot about the animals. So we've got nocturnal, diurnal, terrestrial, and arboreal. Different pangolins have different lifestyles. And there's a mixture of them on the 2 different continents. It's not like all the African ones are one way and all the Asian ones are another. They're sort of mixed in there. And again, if you want to get really where you super stoke your knowledge, you can download one of those pangolin guides that I'll link you to. All right, let's keep going. All right, we got to eat something. What do pangolins eat? Well, what do you eat, Daisy? Pangolin's diet is not looking so tasty to me. Pangolins eat mostly ants and termites. Blech. Ants and termites. It's amazing that ants and termites have enough protein for an animal as strong and tough as a pangolin, but they do. In fact, insects have a lot of protein. All right, ants and termites. Ants and termites live in mounds, and pangolins have special adaptations to get at what's inside those delicious mounds. Now, have you ever seen a termite mound? They're unlike anything I've ever seen. I saw some when I was hiking in Africa, and I didn't even know what they were. It was like this block of cement, was really super hard. Like if I'd run into it all my speed, I couldn't have knocked it over. It turns out that termites have something in their termite saliva that is almost like concrete, and it makes a really, really super hard structure. That doesn't stop the pangolins. Look at this pangolin. This pangolin is specially adapted to get into those termite and ant mounds. Look at that pointy nose. They can close off their eyes, close off their ears so that they can stick their whole head in there. You may have noticed some of those pangolins have really big claws, and those claws are so strong that they can just dig right into those termite and ant mounds. And you know what else? Those claws are so big that it makes it super hard for pangolins to walk on their four legs. So sometimes they'll kind of lumber along on four legs, but most of the time, if they have to use any kind of speed at all, they'll go on two legs, sort of like the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Ah, that's kind of cute. Pangolins running along up on two legs. Oh my goodness. What a hungry pangolin. One pangolin can eat 70 million insects a year. Think about an ecosystem. If you have 70 million insects that a pangolin takes care of every year, what happens if you remove the pangolin from that ecosystem? What happens if you move 3 pangolins from that ecosystem? You are running into a lot more termites and ants than that ecosystem was meant to handle. Nature has that very special predator-prey balance. So pangolins serve a very important purpose in keeping the balance where it's supposed to be. They have some other amazing features when it comes to eating. We talked about this one. I can dig into the mounds with my sharp claws. You can really see those super, super sharp claws in that picture. But there's more. I have spikes in my stomach. Pangolins don't have teeth. They stick that tongue out and they pull those ants and termites into their bodies straight on in. Oh my goodness. And so they don't chew their food. Well, they have keratin spikes on the inside of their stomachs that help grind up that food. Isn't that weird? It almost gives me a stomachache to think about it. They also do something chickens will do. They'll eat tiny little pebbles and stones that rumble around in that stomach and also help grind up all that yummy, yummy, yummy combination of ants and termites. That helps in digestion. Physically breaking up the food is one of the first steps in digestion. We chew our food. If you don't chew your food, you might get a stomachache, and you don't have any spikes in your stomach to help you out. Ask me about my tongue and my mouth. Well, a pangolin's tongue, first of all, let's talk about how long it is. It can be longer than its body cavity. So let's see, Daisy. This is Daisy's body cavity. Daisy's tongue could be, I can't really even show you on the screen. So those tongues are super long. They stick their heads into those mounds, and out go the tongues, and the tongues can find their way into the little grooves and alleyways. They're sticky, 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 like I said, and so are the mouths. So those ants and termites aren't getting away. All right, let's talk more about the pangolins. I feel like we're just getting started. Notice what these pangolins are doing. They are curled into tightly wound little balls. You can barely see the little heads in there. Pangolins will curl up in a ball. I bet you can guess why. To protect themselves from predators. They don't, oh, Daisy, they don't have many predators, but big cats would get into them if they could. There's some interesting pictures out there on the internet of lions trying to get to the pangolins, and they can't. They are protected. These pangolins are protected by their hard shells and also that strong muscular tail that curls around there. And the big cats can't get them out. They are safe. They're safe from everything but one predator, and that's humans. Yep, humans are predators to pangolins. Here are another couple of pictures of pangolins rolled up into balls. And you can see in this picture over here that somebody's holding a pangolin. It is super easy for people to just reach down and pick up a pangolin. Their defense mechanism is to roll into a ball, not to run away. So if a pangolin gets afraid, it'll roll into a ball. If you're out hunting for pangolins, which sadly people do, even though it is highly illegal, against the law, and you find one, you can just reach down and pick it up, throw it in your bag. Doesn't sound like much of a challenge, does it? It's sort of sad to me that the thing that's kept pangolins alive for all these millions of years is also the thing that makes them easy target for humans who want to catch them. Now, the humans who catch the pangolins, they're the bad guys. They're called poachers. Poachers are people who hunt animals illegally. And we're going to talk more about that. All right, but back to this cute little ball of pangolin. And by the way, in the picture, that's not a poacher. That's someone who's trying to help rescue pangolins. Nothing can hurt me now, says the pangolin, except a person. Another amazing feature about pangolins is their really super strong tail. Now, this is just a toy pangolin, but I don't know if you saw it a few minutes ago when she whomped me with her tail. That was kind of perfect. Pangolins can use their predators to slap at animals, and they're really, wait, did I say they could use their predators? They can use their tails to slap away animals that are messing with them. Super strong tails. Also, as you can see from this picture, some pangolin species have what we call prehensile tails. They can almost use them like fingers, and they can wrap around and help them hold on to the tree. Pangolins use their big tails for balance. Remember I told you that sometimes they walk up on their hind legs? Well, this helps hold them back. It helps them balance. Another thing it helps them balance with is when they're digging and digging and digging into termite mounds. These heavy tails back here keep them from just going headlong into the termite mounds. So those tails are weighted, they're muscular, have a lot of movements they can make. And they have another super, super cute function, which we'll talk about in a minute. I have a multi-purpose tail. I wonder if this is a white-bellied pangolin. It's got a white belly. In fact, this picture is a really good illustration where you can see the only part of the pangolin that is not protected by scales, and that's under the chin and the belly. And that's why when they curl into a ball, that's why they have to curl into a ball and protect those parts. Let's talk about baby pangolins. They're so stinking cute. And they have a cute name. Baby pangolins are called pango pups. Now you can see that somebody is holding this pango pup. Pango pups they're not pets. Pangolins, in fact, are not pets at all. In fact, pangolins, unlike axolotls, do not do well in captivity. If pangolins are kept in captivity, they usually die. So in any of these pictures that I'm showing you, if people are holding the pangolins, what this is all about is these pangolins have been rescued and they're being temporarily nursed back to health, and then they will be released into the wild. So this pango pup was either born to a rescued mama or the pango pup itself was rescued. Aren't they cute? Pango pups. When pango pups are 2 years old, they're considered adults and they'll go off on their own. Pangolins are solitary animals. They don't live with their friends. In that way, they're like axolotls. Here's a couple of other pictures of pango pups. Now you could probably tell from the first picture that their scales aren't very hard when they're first born, but they begin to harden within days. So you can even see, I don't know how old these pango pups are, but you can see their scales are looking hard. This one little pango pup looks like he's kind of messing with its mama. Mama pangolins will completely roll themselves around their babies to protect their babies when the babies are brand new. Very good mamas. Now, here's something super cute. Oh, I was born with soft scales. What does this one say? Oop, I'm big again. I'm an only child. Ah, yes. I'm glad I put these little bubbles on here to help me remember what to tell you. Pangolins, like humans, typically have one child. And like humans, they may have twins. I'm not sure if there are any triplets recorded. Again, a lot of the things about pangolins, like how many children they have, we don't know. It's not common knowledge if there's high incidence of triplets because they're secretive and they're wild. But from our observations, pangolins generally have only one child. Now, when that child is a baby, it will ride around on its mama's tail. The little pango pup will ride around on its mama's tail for a while the mama teaches it to be a good pangolin. There's a pango pup on my tail, though. They'll hang close to their mamas for about 5 months, and then they may stop riding on the tails and still hang out with their mamas for a little while they learn to be good pangolins, and the mamas will teach them what to do. So that funky tail has a real cool purpose, as well as protection, balance. It's a little bus ride for baby pangolins. That's so cute. I can hardly stand it. Okay. Wow, look at these pangolins. These are some pretty pictures of pangolins. You can really, really see how sharp their scales are in these pictures. Pangolins can live up to 20 years. That's a good long age for a pangolin. They don't have many predators in the wild, except humans. And their weight ranges. The smaller ones may be about 3.5 pounds, maybe the size of a cat. The larger ones can be up to 73 pounds. Now we're getting into talking about like a small dog. So a lot of them, like Daisy, could be a real size of a smaller pangolin. So they can be quite large. Here's some more adorable pictures of pangolins. I like where you can see this pangolin's big foot here and this other pangolin's big claws. They look like they might be kind of fierce, but in fact, pangolins do not harm people. Now, I imagine if you were messing with a pangolin and pulling on it, it might scratch you with those claws, but remember, it doesn't have any teeth to bite you. In fact, pangolins are very shy. They're quite shy, and they just want to be left alone. If people leave pangolins alone, we rarely even see them. They just shuffle around, going in and out of their burrows, eating, going up and down in the trees, and minding their own pangolin business. Humans really have no business at all messing with pangolins. They do not make good pets. We have no purpose for pangolins in our lives. The purpose of pangolins to us is simply to appreciate the amazing variety of beautiful animals out there in the world. Pangolins are almost mystical. They're so interesting and quiet and just mysterious. And yet, pangolins are the most trafficked animal in the world. More than zebras and more than elephants, more than rhinoceroses. Trafficked means hunted illegally and sold to the wrong hands. I'm just going to say, bad guys. This is bad. This is really, really bad. People who capture pangolins are not doing anything good for the pangolins. They go out in the wild, they capture pangolins. They're paid a lot of money for these pangolins. Some of these pangolins are killed and shipped all over the world. It's very sad. Why do people do this horrible thing? Well, the pangolin scales, it was believed for a long time that they had medicinal purposes, that they could help you if you were sick. Remember I told you that pangolin scales are made out of keratin? You might as well collect your fingernails and grind them up and put some hair in there and grind it up and use it for whatever medicine people are using pangolin scales for. The traditional medicine that they were used in is no longer says that they're useful, but people have old ways of thinking and their thinking doesn't change. And so they're still paying a lot of money for pangolin scales, which keeps the business of killing pangolins going, which is very sad. Believe it or not, pangolin meat is eaten as a delicacy. And a delicacy is a kind of a food that's either tasty, it's so tasty, or so rare that most people can't even eat it. In fact, you have to be quite rich to eat it. Now, I've read that pangolin meat doesn't even taste good. On the African continent, a lot of people that ate pangolins simply ate them because it was food. We call it bush meat. There's an animal, we're hungry, kill it, eat it. Not so good. Didn't taste good anyway, but it's the only thing they could find. On the Asian continents, it's more regarded as a delicacy and as a way of showing off your money to impress your rich friends. Look, I'm so rich, I can do this illegal thing that costs a lot of money and get you some pangolin meat, which I think is just disgusting. Oh. And finally, the skin of pangolins was used for leather, even in the United States. Before it was illegal to hunt pangolins, the United States was a big buyer of pangolin leather, and supposedly you can still find pangolin leather boots, hats, belt buckles or belts, etc., made out of pangolin leather in this country, although I've never seen it. This picture I just put here to show a man who doesn't have anything better to do with his money than buy pangolin meat. I don't have any respect for him. So the question is, what is being done about saving pangolins? So when we talk about animals that need our help, it's sometimes hard to know as a kid what you can do. Well, the first and most important thing you can do, and you might hear me say this again, is to learn about them. And that's what you're doing here in this class. And I really appreciate it as someone who loves animals and critters. So thank you for learning about pangolins. The second thing you can do is talk about them to a lot of people. The more people know about pangolins, the more likely it is something will be done to help save them. Now, all 8 species of pangolins are somewhere in the line of endangered, some critically endangered. And that means it's illegal to mess with all of them. And so we've got groups and organizations of people that are really working hard on saving pangolins. I really like this picture from a newspaper showing an armed guard accompanying a pangolin on an evening walk. This pangolin was rescued from poachers before they killed it, nursed back to health, and as the pangolin learns to be a pangolin again and goes back to the wild, people watch over them carefully. There are groups of people in Africa and Asia whose job it is to take care of those pangolins, which I think is delightful. This is a group of women from the International Federation for the Advancement of Wildlife, which is a large group, and they work with many animals, and this is a pangolin unit. They're in Africa. Their job is to do everything they can to help save pangolins. And I read about one of these adventures where one of these groups had gotten some pangolins from poachers and nursed them back to health at a pangolin rehabilitation center. There are people whose lifelong work is to help pangolins get better. And they turn them loose. And when they turn pangolins loose, they put a radio collar on them or a little radio tracker so that they can keep up with it. Well, one of the pangolins disappeared off the screen. Now, it's kind of hard to believe this, but they went and got an airplane from the anti-poaching unit to come, and they went off in an airplane and searched until they found that one pangolin to make sure she was okay. And she was okay. She had just gotten a little out of range. So that's, if a poacher had gotten that pangolin, they would have been able to find her and arrest the poacher. That's how seriously these groups take saving pangolins. They'll get an airplane out for one pangolin. Imagine. These are 4 different groups that work to rescue pangolins, or they work toward giving these other groups money to help save pangolins. I'm going to look at each one of them. World Wildlife Fund is a big group, and they have a pangolin section. And they've made this cute little video, which I'm going to share with you, imploring, which means begging, Hollywood to make a pangolin movie. If Hollywood made a pangolin movie, chances are everybody would be like super into pangolins. I'm going to hide these bookmarks real quickly. We don't need to see that. All right, so let's watch this pangolin video and also think about, what if Minecraft put pangolins in their game? Would they become super popular? Would everybody want pangolins? Maybe. Or would everybody want to learn about pangolins?
My name is Lynn, and I want to star in a movie. Why is that artichoke talking? I'm a pangolin, which basically means my tongue is longer than my body, and I'm pretty much per bowling ball. But the pangolin pièce de resistance? Really only mammals with scales. Pretty neat, huh? Poachers think so too. You see, people use us for traditional medicine and leather boots. The situation is critical. Averaging about 100,000 goodbyes a year. I have to do something. I have to star in a movie. If I become famous, pangolins will become famous. People will notice us and finally care about us. So guys, help my species become known. In Hollywood, let me star in a movie. Please!
Pangolins, the most trafficked animal you've never heard of. Wow. All right. I'd like that little video, but the only thing I don't like is that it has teeth. All right, let's look over here at safe pangolins and see what they've got to show us today. On safe pangolins, you can pop on that website and you can see this kind of footage of some real pangolins doing their thing. There's all kinds of stuff going on here, raising awareness and conservation. What is a pangolin? I'll come back to COVID-19, places for you to donate, movies for you to watch. Now, I do want to say something about some of these websites, and I want you to listen carefully. If you're super, super sensitive about seeing animals that have been killed, you have to be careful on some of these websites because they may show you a picture of a dead pangolin. When I was little, I was really sensitive to that kind of thing. So be careful on any of these websites. Like I say, if you're super sensitive, be sure your parents go through them with you. All right, let's look at the Nature Conservancy. The Nature Conservancy is another large group that has a section dedicated to pangolins. Look at this pangolin. You can see the hair on this pangolin pretty well. There's an article here about pangolins, and there's a really funny little video here. Look at that pangolin. There's a really funny video here with Jackie Chan, who does martial arts. Let's watch it. It's a PSA is a public service announcement. Let's see what Jackie Chan has to say.
Up to now, penguin only defense from poachers was to roll up into a ball. But now all species are protected by law. So please never buy penguin meat or skills. When the buying stops, the killing can too.
So they're all doing their part. Finally, let's take a peek at the Pangolin Crisis Fund. See what they have to say on their website. Saving pangolins from extinction. Really pretty pictures here. Any of these videos would be really interesting to watch, but again, you do have to watch out for things that might be upsetting. You can get recent updates, and these are sometimes really good stories. Now, you've seen a couple of COVID-19 references, and of course, I'm sure you've heard of the coronavirus. Well, it turns out that one of the ways that it's possible that the coronavirus was spread to humans was through pangolins. The only way that would happen is if pangolins and humans are coming into close contact. That would happen in places like those markets where they sell animals for food, illegal animals, and people might have gotten scratched by a pangolin that had COVID. Now, the pangolins don't know they are infected by the coronavirus. It doesn't hurt them. Pangolin wouldn't naturally have it. It would have had to gotten it from another animal, like a bat. And the only reason a bat and a pangolin would be able to give each other a virus would be if their cages were right next to each other. All of that backtracks to say that we shouldn't be putting wild animals in cages who don't belong together, and we shouldn't be messing with wild animals in that way. Maybe if people never messed with pangolins, the coronavirus would not have made it to humans. We don't really know. Because of that, a lot of the countries that have pangolins have made it even more illegal to mess with pangolins, to eat or hunt or traffic those animals. Even more illegal. It's always been illegal, or it has been for a long time, but now there's more muscle behind the laws. They're enforcing them more. All right, so that could be good for the pangolins, oddly enough. Now, here's something that's super fun. Every third February, wait a minute, every third Saturday in February is what is called World Pangolin Day. And I hope you will mark your calendar for the third Saturday in February. Our next one is February 20th, 2021. We've already had that day. All right, well, we'll have to just look and see when is our next World Pangolin Day. Well, this takes us to pangolin.org. Our next World Pangolin Day. They've got the old one up there too. So we'll just have to get our calendar out and see when our next World Pangolin Day is. It will be the third Saturday of February. I hope you are already making your plans. Here's a cute little video that shows you a baby pangolin tongue. Tiki Highwood is the name of a woman who really, really is into pangolins, and she started her own pangolin foundation. So she's got a website too. Look at that pangolin tongue. Isn't that precious? This is a pangolin who was rescued, and I hope by now he's been turned back out into the wild. I assume that he has. An orphaned pangolin. Bless. Okay, so there are some things you can do for World Pangolin Day, and there are also some really funny pictures of people dressed up as pangolins and whatnot. You can, I don't know if you're into getting t-shirts, you can get merchandise, and you can have World Pangolin Day t-shirts, and there's pangolin ID guides. This is the one I printed this about, and now this pangolin ID guide has way more information than you actually would want, but you could print the pages you were interested in or just read them. There's a pangolin blog where you could see what's going on with World Pangolin Day. All right, so moving quite along. I feel like you've learned a lot about pangolins at this point, and you know some things that are being done to save them, but what could you personally do? Well, number one is talking to your friends and family about pangolins. And number two, you could hold a fundraiser and give money to a pangolin organization if that's the kind of thing you're into. My granddaughters have done that before for humane societies for the dogs. Anything you can do to raise awareness about pangolins, whether it's drawing pictures, posters, making crafts, anything like that, with anything that helps people know there are these really cool animals out there that need your help. And finally, celebrate pangolins with a pangolin party. Now, you may ask, how does raising awareness help pangolins? Well, a lot of adults support environmental groups. And for instance, maybe you would want this for your birthday. Well, the way to get this is to send money to World Wildlife Fund, which goes to support pangolins. And in return, you get your little stuffy and a certificate of adoption. So even though kids may not have a lot of purchase power and money power behind them, adults do. And kids influence that a good bit. And also, the more adults know about it, the more they can research it themselves and support policies and laws and organizations that help animals like pangolins. So you do have a lot of power. Well, what have you learned today? Golly Pete, I think you've learned a lot. I hope so. I feel like we've talked a lot about pangolins today. And now it is time to bring this to a close. I have some questions for you on the Padlet. If you want to click the link and go to the Padlet, you can ask questions, read other people's questions and answers, communicate as much as you can on the Padlet. And I will put a link up in the classroom to the Kahoot so that you can participate in the Kahoot challenge against other people. Again, these are not in real time, but you're still having fun with them. And if you're so inclined, you can do the worksheet. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed learning about pangolins. And I will see you next time.